The low-fat craze is creating major issues, and still here we are 42 years later, and there's still people out there because it's been pushed on us to eat low-fat because we've been told that fat makes you fat. How do you lose weight eating fat? This is Dr. CJ Benkert. I'm going to go over what happened, what myth, what misconception, what misinformation were we given back in the 1950s, what that misinformation did to how they started making food, and what you can do about it now. So those are the three things I'm going to cover in this video of how you can lose weight eating fat. How do you lose weight eating fat? Well, first of all, you don't lose weight eating low fat. So this is what happened. This is the history. The first thing that happened was back in the 50s, our president, Dwight Eisenhower, had a heart attack. And it was unheard of back then. And his heart attack, looking back at it now, 72 years later, was not due to fat and cholesterol, but it was actually due to him smoking 4 packs of cigarettes a day. So back in the 50s, when he had that heart attack, all of a sudden, for the first time ever, the US government decided that they needed to take an active role in the diet of Americans. And the 50s and 60s is when these snack food companies were taking hold, and it behooved them to blame the culprit on fat because they didn't want you to stop eating sugar and carbs, because we had these snack food companies starting to make a lot of products with sugar and carbs. We also had farmers who were being subsidized by the US government to make wheat, corn, potatoes. So that's kind of what started it. It was in the 1950s when he had that heart attack. Everything was blamed on fat. And we now know that's not true. Ansel Keys has a faulty study that he did blaming the heart attack on fat and cholesterol. We now know that's not true. So that was number one. The second thing that happened was we were given a food pyramid by the US government in the late 70s, officially 1980. And the base of the pyramid was that we were supposed to be eating mostly carbohydrates, grain, pasta, breads. When that pyramid came out in 1980, we had a disease, a heart disease, and obesity rate very, very, very small, very, very little. And all of a sudden in 1980, if you look back over the trends, we had this skyrocket since 1980 until now, 2022. So we're 42 years later, we have one of the highest rates of obesity in the world. We're sicker and fatter than we've ever been. We have an epidemic of diabetes on the planet, costing over $1 billion a day. We have dialysis centers popping up on every corner because we were lied to because of corporations and money and political power to eat sugar and carbs, and that food pyramid doesn't work, and it's why so many people are sick. So I request, and I've mentioned this documentary in the past. The documentary that I would love for you to watch is called Fat Fiction, and it's everything that I teach my clients. It's basically, it goes into a lot of the things that I'm covering in this brief video today: the heart attack, Dwight Eisenhower, the faulty study by Ansel Keys. Now this food pyramid comes out. Okay, so now what's the third thing? So we've got the heart attack, we've got the food pyramid the US government released, which was the cause of all of our problems. So we're being told from 1980, and still to this day, unbelievable, that you want to eat low fat. So when you make a food without fat, first of all, For thousands of years, our ancestors have been eating high, healthy fats. We're hunter-gatherers. Our DNA, depending on your heritage and your background and what part of the planet you came from, if you're closer to the equator, then you're probably eating more vegetables and carbs and fruits. But if you're further away from the equator, high fats, animal meat. So our DNA, our bodies are omnivores. We're meant to eat meats and fats and vegetables. And that's a whole nother discussion. But the low-fat craze is creating major issues, and still here we are 42 years later, and there's still people out there because it's been pushed on us to eat low-fat because we've been told that fat makes you fat, right? This is 5 pounds of fat. Like my average client loses 5 pounds of fat in the first week or two. That's a lot of fat. Why? Because you are either a sugar burner or a fat burner. So the third reason, the third thing I want to cover is what happened to the food when they decided, when we were told, eat sugar, carbs, eat, grains, pasta, corn, oatmeal. We were told that those were healthy foods. And then we were told, the very top of the pyramid is fat, this teeny tiny little thing, like the least amount of your diet is supposed to be fat. Well, if you watch the documentary Fat Fiction, one of the scientists or clinicians being interviewed on that show says, yeah, if you flip the pyramid on its head, then maybe it makes sense, but it's created an insulin resistance problem. It's created diabetes. It's created inflammation because you're either a sugar burner or a fat burner. So the third thing that happened with this low fat recommendation is, in order for food to taste good, fat tastes good. Fat makes you full faster. Fat satiates us. That's why, a ribeye is so good compared to, just a sirloin steak, because it has more fat in it. And I don't recommend beef unless it's grass-fed and, not commercially raised, and that's a whole nother video. So check out my YouTube channel, Dr. CJ Benkert. But what happened is, when they took the fat out of foods, what did they have to add to the food so that it tasted like something other than cardboard? Sugar. So with the lower fat foods, the snack companies now, have all these products, low fat, no fat. A big bag of licorice says no fat. Yeah, but it's got, like, I don't know, 10 grams of sugar, 15 grams of sugar per licorice stick. Eat that whole bag, and you're probably putting, I don't even know, 500 grams of sugar into your system. Yeah, there's no fat, but 500 grams of sugar is going to, guess what that sugar is going to do in your body? It says no fat, but when you eat sugar, you release insulin, right? So our weight gain and our disease epidemic, our diabetic epidemic, has nothing to do with calories in, calories out, or exercise or lack of exercise. And it has everything to do with hormones and whether or not you're a fat burner or a sugar burner. So they added all this sugar to the food to make it taste better. So now we've got these low-fat granola bars, and if you look at the ingredients, it'll be like no fat or low fat, but they'll be like 25, 30, 35 grams of sugar and a healthy, supposedly healthy granola bar. Well, when you eat that much sugar, whether it's in the form of a potato, oatmeal, piece of licorice, cereal, bagel, yogurt, when you eat that much sugar, your body releases insulin, and insulin is the top fat storage hormone in the body. So it is such a dichotomy. It is such a lie. It is so ridiculous. And that's what I'm so passionate about, is sharing the truth with you and standing up against these corporations. And I'll even back up from that. It's not like standing up and fighting what we don't want to see happen in the world. Because when you stand up and fight, I think it creates more resistance. Let's just share the truth and let's just start making some different decisions, because we're voting with our dollars and we're voting as we spend money on certain foods. So if the food has a ton of sugar in it, but it's low fat, you're going to release insulin. And insulin is the top fat storage hormone in the body, the top aging hormone in the body, and the top inflammatory hormone in the body. So from 1980 until now, one out of two men will face a cancer diagnosis in their lifetime. I think 88% of Americans are metabolically unfit or insulin resistant. So we are in a world of hurt, and I'm here to share the truth. You have the power. Your body is a healing, magical miracle. Your body has innate intelligence within it. But if you don't know how to turn your body from a sugar burner, which is what the food pyramid is creating in your body, what the low fat recommendations are creating in your body is creating a sugar burner, which makes you prone to disease, prone to cancer, prone to Alzheimer's, type 3 diabetes, prone to insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, autoimmune, stroke, heart attack, you name it. Or if you teach your body how to be a fat burner instead of a sugar burner, which is what I do when I work with my clients for 12 months, is we spend that time to teach you how to eat, how to support your body, when to eat. And it's not about eating less food or depriving yourself. It's about making parallel shifts. So instead of eating vegetable oil, canola oil, hydrogenated oil, margarine, we're going to switch you over and we're going to teach you how to eat coconut oil, olive oil, the whole healthy fats that our ancestors have eaten for thousands of years, and they've been very, very healthy. So diabetes is an epidemic, and we're throwing medication, insulin, to this disease when it's a dietary lifestyle disease. So why are we throwing medication towards heart disease, stroke, Alzheimer's, diabetes, metabolic syndrome? They aren't. You don't have deficiencies in insulin if you're a diabetic. Just the opposite. You have too much insulin. That's what's creating all the problems. It's so ridiculous if you just look at the science and look at the truth of what is, how crazy it is that we're treating these diseases with medicines and pharmaceuticals, and that the mainstream medical doctor, the pharmaceutical company has a budget of like $20,000 per medical student to spend on them, to entice them to prescribe this medication and prescribe this medication and prescribe this medication. And doctors aren't bad. I get into a car accident, I want to go to a Western medical doctor, right? I want to go into the medical system, the American medical system. But if I have cancer, if I have pre-diabetes, if I have weight loss resistance, if I have an autoimmune, there's nothing that they can do for you other than give you drugs that don't treat the cause, but treat the symptom. So how do you lose weight eating fat? Because when you're a fat burner, your body is leaner, you live longer, there's less inflammation, fat burners are healthier. So I have a saying, and it's the amount of the amount of years in your life and the quality of your life is directly proportional to the amount of sugar burning that you do versus the amount of fat burning. The more time your body's in fat burning, the longer you'll live, the healthier you'll be, the less inflammation that you'll have, the less surgeries you'll need, the less chance of becoming a diabetic or ending up with Alzheimer's, which is type 3 diabetes in the brain. The brain cells can't absorb glucose, just like the body with a diabetic. Whereas the amount of time that you spend in sugar burning is going to predispose you to early death, inflammation, disease. Do you want that for yourself? We're all here for a limited time. So let's make it the most amazing life we can. Learn how to become a fat burner. private message me, reach out to me, put a comment on this video. I'm here to teach you the truth about dieting and about health and about becoming a fat burner instead of a sugar burner. This is Dr. CJ Benkert. That's how you lose weight eating fat. You eat healthy fats and you teach your body how to be a fat burner instead of a sugar burner, and stop following the food pyramid recommendations and flip it up on its head instead, and then you'll be healthier, I promise. Peace out. Have an amazing rest of your day. This is Dr. CJ Benkert with Buddha Be the Wellness, loving you, inspiring you, teaching you, stepping out in faith to teach you the truth about how your body really responds and how you can have the most amazing, energetic life that I feel that I have. And I'm just so blessed to have made the changes that I've made in my life over the last 8 years, and that I am now a fat burner and not a depressed, overweight, sick, inflamed sugar burner. Peace out.